Wait. Get that. Quick. Get it. Get rid of that. Right. Nothing going. See what's happening. Hope everybody's having a good day. Hang out and see if anybody joins. I'm going to share this link over here. Put it up and in there. We'll see if that stays wrong. It's deleted. Check a few. Oh, going on. Not going here. We got a couple things. Doesn't seem to be hanging again. Make sure everything's working where it should be. A lot of delay. A little bit. It's just a little slop in the delay time going on here. And there. Computer must be choking up a smidge here. It don't seem like it should be. What else I might have running in the background that doesn't need to run? Take a peek. That's always giving Google its crap. Go ahead, shut down Opera. Get rid of it. If different Google Windows says operations going on, but yet only one. Yes, three, and we get down to just my window here. That's ridiculous. And some of these damn things, especially ones that have 0% going on, I may end up having to reopen my window. This is ridiculous. No reason there needs to be this many Google operations for Chrome going down. Only got one damn window open. Opening up more. Alright. Let me just close this one. Get rid of it. Damn, all gone. Right? Reopen and see what happens. Open up one thing and it makes 19 different operations going on. What the fuck, CIA? And if you didn't know, Google, CIA, same thing. Ridiculous. That one closed out. Try this again. Restore. One more time. Want your crap open, but it's gonna open anyway. Alright, we'll bear with it. iCPU is on use because Google Chrome and CIA book. Fascist bastard. Okay. So anyways. Turn on this other light. I'll go ahead and close that. So I can drown out some of that noise out there. Plus the rig, obviously, I'm working on. This bad boy. Kind of finished up. I gotta go through the setup and make all my adjustments yet. I haven't done that at the moment. But move this and put these on so I can see a little better. Excuse me. The whole reason of this video. I'm gonna do some of that. But this is the reason for this video. I told people what I'm getting. If anybody's paid attention to any of the posts I've made over on Facebook. Right? Little bad boy. What do we got here? They even got their own little Super G poofy bags. So order the body obviously from Super G. They have it in the States. I don't know if you can see it too well there or not. Stickers. Take a look at what we got here. Interesting stuff. Nice. Super G stickers. Some different ideas. Kind of cool little stickers to get. Always nice to have decals in my order and packing slip. Oh, yep. Here for nows. So obviously you're looking at it. You can't really see it too well in the bag. Here's the truck. Well, I thought, oh, where's all the bubble set? I thought there was supposed to be setup pack too. Well, that's kind of a bummer. I thought it had the plastic bits for it, like the mirrors and everything else. Well, it looks like I'll have to do some 3D designing. Preferably just 3D printing, because I'm not that great of a designer. No, I really thought there was also plastic set of mirrors and a few other parts. Bumper and light buckets, looks like right here. Front light buckets. Front splitter. Or a different front bumper. Hard to say. But as you can see, the Datsun 5 or 620 truck. Mask, in case you want to block everything out. Dark mask. Alright. Put these in a spot to get them flattened. Need a couple pieces of something or another. I guess. Slide this over here. See how she looks over, sitting over the body. You know how it's gonna look, but gotta do it. Boy, barely fits right there with this rear end. I might have to rearrange how I do the fan. Definitely gonna have to rearrange the front end, or at least take the foam bumper part out. Kind of seeing how things line up here. At least it seems to get kind of okay, but sits up way too high in the back. That's the one thing I was concerned about with the body, so I was really looking at the wagon body, get a little bit more clearance. I can always rearrange things, take the velocity stack off. First and foremost, that would be a big one. Do something different with this one in the back. Kind of move it out of the way a smidge, but you can see she's, sitting on the thing and she's already at the velocity stack. Unless I open it up around the velocity stack and allow the bed to drop down and let that velocity stack come through. There is that possibility, to rerun the wires and get them down a little farther out of the way. Then that velocity stack kind of stick through the back. That wouldn't look too bad. Definitely have to take the front bumper off on this body, get her to work. So she may take a little rearranging to get into place. Overall, I think the positioning will work, especially once I got her down, where she's supposed to be. That definitely was set too high there. Wondering if that was going to get low enough with that back deck. So that is the one trick here. I probably will have to rearrange things to make this work. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to use this thing in the back now. I was hoping it would give me enough, but maybe not. Of course, I could always, kind of the same thing, do a trim around the back. We really ain't hiding it, but allows that to go down. I'm going to have some decisions to make. I wonder where that would set. Put that in there. Here for the minute. So I put my ESC on the flip-up mount. 3D printed the flip-up mount today, or actually a couple days ago, and had to reprint the main base mount, reorientate it so my printer could print it properly. I got that printed, and it allows you to clip up. Of course, this wire right now is stopping it from moving too far. I'd have to unplug it, and then it will flip back out of the way. I could do the mid motor, but that's really going to crank that motor up high. Setting that up there, yeah, that's going to be. And then putting that motor way up there, that ain't going to work either. Not for this body. I may end up having to shelve this body and actually get the 510 body. Or I'm sorry, the 610 wagon, or actually something a little different. Not quite sure. Overall, I'm liking the way it's done. I'd say I gotta put it on the Hudy rack and get it all tweaked over and set up. I made some changes to the stock. I still got to go through the steering. As you see, there's a fair bit of slop here. Look at the steering rack. It seems to be the biggest downside here is, look at that. That's everything else locked in that one wheel. I lock this one same way, and so I got that whole rack that's just, 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch of movement almost at the outer end of the wheel, just in the rack. There's a little bit right there in the bearing that's got to get taken care of too. So I do have to go through and do some shimming in the front end, because that's just, that's all slopped in the front end right now. That's the biggest issue I see with the clone system. I don't know how the 3 racing setup works stock. If it's better, I'm presuming it should be, but I don't have one, never did, and nobody's close enough that has one for me to say, hey, how's your stuff working there, and do a video and let me see it and blah blah blah. So this needs to get taken care of, because that is unreasonable. That is just way bad. So that's going to be one of the main focuses that I take care of over this weekend. Tomorrow I'm probably going to head over to Saginaw for a little while, do a little playing. There's a comp setup going on. I don't know that I'll comp. I'm not sure that I'm ready to do any of that stuff, and I'm not even sure I'm comp legal. I didn't focus on that when I built my crawler, or when I built this last crawler. I don't focus on comp. I'm not a comp guy. I'm a quality and run it guy. Not much of a comp, but I'll go over there tomorrow, play around, check out, maybe get in, but I doubt it. It'd be the 3rd race, and I missed the first 2 because I was on call that week, or I should say that weekend, and I could have went because it's not too far away, and if I had a call, I would have had to leave. But that's part of the issue, which is I'm kind of glad I did, because both the last 2 I did get called in those weekends. And it was halfway through what would have been comp time, or early enough that I probably wouldn't have been able to push out going in to take care of it until after I was done. So I would end up having to leave, which would have sucked, no doubt. But is what it is. So, anyways, the setup I got to finish up, and I got to go through and do all the shimming and maybe replace some bearings, and I might need to get a little creative with what I'm doing. The ball cups don't seem to be bad. I mean, they got a little movement in them, but I think they'll actually survive once you get rid of all the other shim. I mean, there's a little bit in there. Small rubber bands, like braces, rubber bands could take care of that. Ball cups if you're concerned about it, but I don't think that's too bad of a deal. But I could upgrade them, and I possibly will go to the Yokomo options, tighten them up a little bit. But overall, they're not bad. But I do have to go through and set up. A little bit of shimming could happen there. Back end ain't too bad. I mean, that all this slop here in the gear train is mostly in the belt. I can feel it. You're moving it forward, and right there it's tightening up the belt, and then there it's hitting it. Not really tightening up. Well, it is, but it's tightening up on the bottom of the belt, not the top. So that slop mostly is in the gear train, but in the belt system itself. So I gotta go through, do some setup, and then put it on the Hudy rack setup station and get all the adjustments made, all the right toe, camber, make my adjustments as needed to get the baseline set. Is simple but usable, and then make adjustments from there. But yeah, I was really hoping this body fit a little better. Like I said, I was concerned about the back, the bed, and how far it was going to go down. I didn't think this was going to be too far back. I kind of thought that velocity stack there on the motor would be still far enough forward where it wouldn't be in the way. And it kind of is, but kind of isn't. Just at the very bottom. And like I say, I could always do a little trimming, be a little, tweaky there. But what I gotta do is do what I'm gonna do with this thing, because that's where I was hoping that would help. But not that the velocity stack adds any kind of performance. It doesn't. It's a looks thing. Simply aesthetics. Take off how much lower we can get there. That'll allow me to take it down quite a bit. Yeah, that goes down a lot farther. Suppose I could just take the velocity stack off this one. I'd have to trim fins on the motor cooler to rotate it so it sets upright more. I could probably just lose both of them on this. Kind of sucks, but I bought this body for this rig, and I kind of a little anal about that, swapping things out midway unless you absolutely have to. Tend to be more in the camp of let's make it work and call it good from there. So, in that spirit, take you out, work you out of the mix. Oh, room here to slip the thing through. I got the wires stitched down tight to keep them snug and out of the way. Oh, through there. Right. Right off. It don't seem like it would take much. It's a half inch or so, 12 millimeters, give or take a bit, 13 maybe even. Back off there. Of course, I still got to do the front fender. Yeah, it's sitting there. So I'm going to have to redo these a little bit to get them hung down a little further. Of course, I could always take that flip mount off and just drop it on the deck. We can drop it even more, and that's probably what I'll end up doing. So let's see where we're at. A little better. It's actually not too bad once you get the thing. Still sitting a little high in the back, so yep, I'm going to have to drop it right on the deck. Put the ESC down low. I don't think there's any possibility. There might be some way. I might be able to move the ESC to the back here. Get her right on top of the motors. There is room once this thing's back there. It will fit in that area. Perhaps I can set a shelf up on that and get her to click on that. But yeah, ESC is still a little too high, so I'd have to take the flip mount out, move the ESC down here on the upper deck to create a little bit, another half inch of room, which will allow me to get down to where I need to be. Magnetic body mount should be here soon, and obviously I can't run this front foam bumper without a lot of trimming, so I'll take it off, maybe find a piece of foam that I could use cut into shape, so I could use that as the front foam, because that's the only biggest difference now is the front bumper is really holding the front up some. Not so bad in the back. That front end down, so that'll all have to be tweaked a little bit first. Alright, let's see my one bag here, and I'll put these things in there. Of course, once I rearrange things, I might be able to put them back on. Get them in a position that'll work. Back first. Bag. Slightly. A little wider. A little easier. Get her in and out, a little deeper. Okay. Okay. So I have to take a little tweaking to get the body setting properly and fit where she's supposed to be. Not much, but a little bit. Come backwards a little bit. I don't know how much. I have to get all the trimming done. Could always adjust the wheelbase a little bit, shift things backwards, push the front wheels back as far, and shift these front wheels forward as far to give me a little bit more centering, which I'll have to end up doing that setup to get her in place. that ain't too bad overall. On an angle, and you guys take a little look. Of course, you gotta look at the front end because the front end needs to, come down. That phone bumper's in the way. Looks. That's pretty close, right? So yeah, need to do some tweaking. Shouldn't need much. You'll need some. But yeah, I really thought the body had the bits with it, mirrors and some of the other stuff that was shown in the pit. But that's all right. I'll 3D print that stuff and figure it out. You can get that all stuff done. That's what the flip up mount is 3D printed. It's something I found on Thingiverse. Thank you for whoever put it up there. Appreciate it. Found 4 of them actually. Copied all, downloaded all the options. This is the only one I printed out so far. I had to print the deck twice because the orientation wasn't quite right for my printer, so I had to reset it up in my slicer. And once I did that, reprinted it, it was fine. Turned out real nice. So well, basically, guess I can run over the rig here. Got a clone. Y'all know that. 3 Racing. D5RR Pro, I believe is what the clone is from. Got not all the upgrades, but a lot of the upgrade parts right out of the box. Carbon fiber chassis and top, obviously, instead of just the G13 type materials or the fiber material that they don't say is carbon fiber. So anyways, yeah, it came with, a fair amount of the upgrades. I've made some changes. These 2 posts are from the rear stock shock tower. With the aluminum shock tower, there's 2 posts you don't actually end up putting in the back, because the aluminum don't need the support. And when you get done, you got these 2 posts left over. I took the shorter post off, put the taller post on. One thing I realized is this thing doesn't have what 3 Racing calls their front shock tower, which is this part here, low carbon fiber piece that the shocks actually tops mount out, or the other end of the shocks mount up front. So I got one ordered, the actual 3 Racing one, so I can put it on. Because part of the issue is the throw of the shock was not far enough for the front end setup when I pull it out of the box. Front end shocks were real stiff. They're still a little stiff, but way better than they were. Still, pretty bouncy now. It's not too bad, but still a little stiff. But the shocks were loaded, which means the coils were loaded. So I ended up going to these longer mounts. It actually allowed me to it actually lengthened the shock length just a little bit, but not enough to really count, maybe a millimeter. What I did in the most part to help loosen this front up is obviously I got my cantilever, my shock arm mounts on the center position. I had them on the innermost, which took it out, so I moved to the center, and there's 3 mounts on these lower arms on this rig. These are the upgraded arms that come with plastic front arms. One of the things I did buy is the upgraded front adjustable arms in aluminum. They're not the 3 Racing version, but they're the unbranded version, which I really think a lot of them are all made by 3 Racing and then just sold under a slightly different packaging. At any rate, I was able to get those shocks to stretch out a little more, take the tension off, which softened up the front end, but it's still a little stiff. So I got this plate coming in the front shock tower. When that gets here, I'll throw that on. That will give me even a little bit longer throw on my shocks because it will move the front mount up another 1/4 inch-ish or so. Put the other original post back in place, drop it down a little bit again, but that should make the front end a lot better. And then I can actually look at are the springs decent or are they too stiff? They're way too stiff for the original setup. Still a little too stiff in my opinion for what it is now, but I'm not sure because I'm not a drifter. So, but I think it's got to be a little more, soft than that. Back's not too bad. Back's pretty good. I'm in second hole from the most outer on the back right now. And I haven't done anything with the shocks other than took them off and put them back on when I was doing some work. So basically, other than that, what we're running with is I know a lot of people. I was really looking into the drift scene. A lot of people are into the drift spec items, servos and ESCs and motors. When I got to really digging into what they are, they're just basically a race ESC. The motors aren't any different. They may have slightly different stuff, but for the price of the quote unquote top shelf items, barring the AccuVant system and the Hobby Wing drift spec ESC, the stuff I'm running, the McLaren stuff I'm running is every bit as good and probably better. This ESC was $200 when it was new. It's got full boost, full turbo. I've even got right now the drag 3-stage drag spec racing firmware on it. There's no reverse on that, sadly, but I was thinking that would work out really good. So I'm gonna have to log in and reset the firmware to the stock MX Pro firmware instead of the 3-stage race firmware. But I'm running the McLaren MX Pro 160 ESC and the McLaren V3 MMR 13.5 motor, and I have a McLaren V2 MRR 9.5. Everybody says 10.5. Going to be the same because you can always limit your power a little bit, limit your boost a little bit, limit your turbo a little bit, limit your throttle throw. There's ways to tame down the motor a touch from 9.5, so it's not like overpowering or oh my god, that's just too much power. I've seen people running 8.5 and 7.5. It's all about how you set it up and how you control it. Power bands are slightly different, which is why people will choose slightly different. But I think the 9.5 on this system will be just fine. So yeah, I'll have to do a little setup on it. Gyro, I did go with the Onisinki, the drift spec deal. Although, I've heard it's a good servo or a good gyro. Fairly new, so there's not a lot of feedback on it. A lot of people are, for tie-in servos, they're looking at your Futabas or your Yokomos. And most likely I will end up there. If this doesn't perform as well as I think it should, it wasn't a bad cost at 61 bucks. I got it on AliExpress in 16 days shipping, so shipping wasn't, unmanageable. It was doable. Of course, I'm in Michigan and we've got snow on the ground, so there ain't gonna be no drifting around here, at least not unless I go inside somewhere. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at. New body, box opening, boring stuff. But no, I think it's a cool looking bike. My brother had a Datsun, a mid-70s Datsun long bed pickup truck. This is a short bed basically. So long bed would have been nice because well, that would have given me the room back here. That could have been kind of cool if it was a long bed. But overall, I think we're ready to throw it on the setup station. So I just got to figure out a good baseline position to get her all laned up and figured out and get her tweaked out so my adjustments right. Before I do that, like I said, I gotta tear back into the front end here and get that slop right there. That's pretty much all slop right there. Mostly in this crossboard. crossbar here and the bearing system's in there. So I got to get into this crossbar system here. You can barely see. Fat fingers in the way, and get that adjusted. There's, like I say, a little slop in the wheels themselves. A little too much, but that shouldn't be bad. Again, I'll throw a couple shims on there. I believe the 4mm Traxxas shims I got should work. I don't think they're different heights. I don't have different thicknesses. They're all the same thickness. So I'll have to kind of watch that a little bit. But I'll probably turn around and get working on that here real shortly and get that put into place. Oh yeah, the McLaren, the 13.5 motor, doesn't have the rotor that came with it stock. It's got a upgraded rotor. I purchased I believe it was the higher torque rotor, the 13mm rotor for this motor. So I've got the higher torque rotor in here. Reset it, set all the Hall positions, checked everything else on my IRC tuner. I use that most setups. It's not really a tuner. You can use it. It helps you set adjustments and know where you're at. But I wouldn't really call it a motor tuning machine. It's a motor setting machine. You can kind of tune a little bit. But it should work out pretty good. But when I set everything back up, it was set real good. I had to watch your Hall sensors and gaps, and it's all within like 0.01 percentage point or 0.01 mark points from each other. Two of them are the same. One of them is just 0.01% or 0.1, whatever it is, the number differences. So they're all set pretty good. I'm not going to worry about that minor tweak because the timing marks are all really almost identical from all three sensors when it's ran on the analyzer. So I think that's good to go. I'm going to go ahead and call it. Shut her down. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate giving me the likes and share and subscribe. And next video on this thing hopefully will be a setup video. I'll be going through and I may do, I'm probably just going to work on this and get this slop all dicked out and won't do any of that on camera. It's slow, boring, monotonous. Nobody wants to watch that crap. Well, some people might, but I won't record it. I'll just go through it and then, show you the difference beforehand. Or after it's done, I should say. The difference afterwards from now. Get that all worked out as best I can. And then from there, once I got the slop all worked out, I've got things shifted so the body is sitting where it's supposed to. I'll get that trimmed out. I might do that live. Get everything shifted around, put it in place, and do the trimming and do all that live. And if I get this on the deck, which, once I remove the flip mount, that'll be easy. Put that on the deck. Turn around and I'll have room. I might even put that piece back on there. My velocity stack, just have the looks. Shits and giggles. I'm really not going to be able to do much with the motor one though, unless I can switch things around, which I wouldn't mind doing. I'd have to end up doing a little more readjustment because I take the ESC, get it on a shelf here on the motor, so it's up on the motor. Once that's on the motor and up here out of the way, well, then the receiver can come up here on the deck out of the way. Just shift the gyro over and get it more centered, maybe right here in front of the thing, just so the weight's all shifted to the back as much as possible. Which is probably what I'll end up. I'll have to play with positionings a little bit. But to get that truck body on here, which I do want to put on this rig, I'll have to, remove this front bumper and modify a different bumper so it works for that body. Get some different foam that I can trim out and cut into place and get that set up. Then get that body tweaked and set up. My motor mount or I'm sorry, the magnetic mounts should be here in the week coming. I think I got, what was a couple things, the motor mounts or magnetic mounts. What was it? Getting what I ordered. So I got the front shock tower coming. Oh yes, a diff, magnetic, invisible mounts. And then I got an actual free racing diff with the Metal Gear and the housing differential for the D5 for the sport drift. So it should be the same, except to set up for, of course, the D5 setup. I'll be putting it on this belt drive setup, but the diff itself is all the same. The cup's all the same. The only difference is not going on a ring gear, going on the diff cup with the belt drive on it. So I'm gonna put a full diff in because right now it is a lot. There is no, limited slip. I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, why don't you run limited slip?" I can see why limited slip would be useful as opposed to posi lock rear end. A locked up rear end where, especially the way things are cornering, because your wider wheel can then turn and spin faster, help holding that ass end out, holding the turn and the angle, because it's both wheels spinning exactly the same speeds in a corner. The inside wheel is gonna try to drive it straight, and the outside wheel is gonna try to drive it, make it continue to turn. Where a limited slip, your wheel speeds could change, so your inside could turn slower, your outside could spin faster, keeping that angle, more assisted angle drive. So I can see where a differential would help. But I'll have the locker. If I don't like it, I'll be able to lock it back up and put the diff in something else, or just sell it because it'll be hardly unused. So yeah, I don't think there's too much more to do as far as setup. Like I said, I got to do some tweaks, take care of some shimming, get rid of some slop, and then she's ready for the setup rig and tweaking, and then body mount, and then body painting, and then from there just slight modifications and then tweaks as I'm running it. So I'm pretty stoked about it. As the Canucks and the Brits say, I'm chuffed. So yeah, my boxing and my unboxing, my body, and the drift rig, as she said. So I'm going to. There's something I can do here. Something I haven't done. I've seen what she weighs. We may as well check our weight and weight biases right here. Done. Good place for them. No. Reading. What are we looking at? Put her down here. 909.234 in the rear for 69%. 412.6 for 31% in the front. 666.3 on the left. 655.5 on the right. So it's a little lighter on the right than the left. A little heavier on this side. Most of the motors on that side. So we're up motor 0 and reset it just to see what she does. Yeah, got 69% on the front, 31%, or 69% on the back, 31% on the front, 50% side to side. I've got, I think, 664.9, 656.1 side to side, so it's 50% even. And a total of 1,321 grams complete. That we'll focus on there. I have to wait and see if it comes up. You gotta bear with me a minute. Yeah, it looks like it's kind of focusing there. I'm a few minutes behind on legs, so overall, not too bad. I mean, it's kind of set up pretty good. Maybe a little back heavy. I could shift some things forward, rearrange a few things, add a few new holes, move the battery pack forward a little bit, shift everything so it's, 3/4 of an inch, 5/8 of an inch more forward than it is. I could move the gyro and the ESC or the receiver more forward. Do a little tweaking. Of course, the body's got a little bit more weight on the forward. Once I got the body on here, that's going to change it a little bit, obviously. But yeah, overall, not too bad. 69-31 and 50-50 on the sides. Slightly heavier, 9 grams, 8 grams heavier on the right, or on the left than the right. Yeah, this side's just a slightly bit heavier than this side over here. That's not bad at all, though. All right, I'm happy with that. Those numbers actually are pretty darn good. Pretty darn good numbers, I think. Well, cut me off. Turn back on, you bastard. Maybe if I shut it off. No dog. Now none of them want to shut off. Of course, they got an auto off, I believe, though. Now they're shut off. Once they're out of communication with the Bluetooth. There we go. So yeah, actually weight balancing is quite good on this. I was kind of surprised. I knew it would be close. Obviously, it's, the way you set it up, you can tell where she'll be similar to the two, but that's actually really pretty good. I'll have to adjust that. So, all right, man. I'm gonna go ahead and close this one down. Enjoy the rest of my after dinner mint. and then turn around and see what's going on from there. All right, everybody, have a good one. Thanks for joining.